Hello and welcome. We have reached the fifth round of the HSBC UK Women's National Road Series. This week the riders compete in the Curlew Cup, part of the Cyclone Festival of Cycling and one of the best known women's races in the UK. The last round of the series was the two-day Tour of the Reservoir. On day one, Rebecca Durrell of Brother UK Tifosi, presented by On Form, continued her run of fantastic form to clinch the first leader's jersey. But on day two, her teammate Leah Dixon prevailed to clinch the overall victory.
She knew how to play to her strengths today. She had it in her sight, crossing the finish line in front of these crowds, and she takes the stage to victory.
After some great racing in round four, this is how the series standings look. Rebecca Durrell has a commanding advantage at the head of the individual standings, ahead of Leah Dixon and Pfeiffer Georgie. And in the team classification, Brother UK Tifosi have more than double the points of Brother UK Fusion RT and Campanen's Velo Performance. This year's HSBC UK National Road Series is made up of 8 races across the country. At each round there are 30 points up for grabs for the winner. The rider with the most points at the end of the series wins the crown. It's as simple as that. The village of Stamfordham in Northumberland hosts the Bowman Trophy for the 49th time and the Curlew Cup for the 7th year, part of the Cyclone Festival of Cycling. Stamfordham has a rich history in cycling, most recently hosting the National Road Championships in 2018, which saw Connor Swift and Jess Roberts ride to their striped victory. The village itself dates back to 1188 and is littered with listed buildings, including a Grade 2 village jail. Let's hope the riders all behave themselves today. So let's take a look at the course for today's race. The riders will complete 3 laps of the 22.3 mile circuit, which will also be used in the men's race. The total distance is 66 miles or 106 kilometres. The riders will climb the Ryals 3 times on the circuit. This is a change from previous editions of the race, and it is hoped that this change will provide a testing challenge for the riders.
Justin, you've been putting on a really strong performance this series. How are you feeling going into round 5?
I'm looking forward to racing today. I've had a bit of time out since my bump at the end of May in California, so I'm not desperately fit, but I'm kind of going for a race yourself fit sort of tactic. So yeah, we'll see really.
How are you feeling about tackling this sort of slightly hilly course today?
I've been in better form for the hills, but yeah, it's nice to be back riding on a hilly course after last week at Nationals, which was really flat. And so yeah, I sort of recce'd the course yesterday, and it's a really good, it's a good course. And we've got such a small field today, so I'm not quite sure really how it's going to go. Whether it will stay together or it will split up on the Ryals, but I think it should be a good race. It's a good field, even though it's a small one.
Tell us how you're feeling about going into round 5 today.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Obviously the team is still leading the series. Bex is in the overall leader's jersey. See how it goes today.
And this is quite a hilly course. Do you sort of have any plans for how you're going to tackle that as a team?
Not really. I think that we'll just see how things go, see who reacts, maybe who wants to make it harder for the Ryals, and see what happens.
It's a bit of a hilly one today. We've got 3 laps of the Ryals. So it's a case of kind of looking at what we can try and do to keep the leader's jersey, but we always want to try and win on the day as well, so yeah, we'll just see what we can do.
So all set to go in round 5 of the 8-round Women's National Road Series. The Curlew Cup is underway with Connie Hayes of the Liv AWOL squad close to the front, the Bianchi Dama squad as well. All want to stay as close to the bumper of the lead car as possible as they work their way through the early moments. The neutralised section, 106.2 kilometres for the riders today. 3 laps of the 35.5 kilometre circuit with the 3 tough ascents of the Ryals climb to come. The flag is in, the race is underway, and you would say it's certainly one for the strong riders, those that don't mind a little bit of climbing, and it's a problem for the series leader.
Yeah, Bex Durrell just putting her hand in the air for a bit of mechanical assistance from the team card there, but she's calm. She knows at this point in the race that she can just get herself back into that bunch.
Yeah, no stress for Bex Durrell. She's wearing the jersey of the leader of the point standings, and a healthy advantage indeed that she has in it. It is, though, a new bike for but she'll soon get back into position as we see the latest attack from the Brother UK Fusion racing team. This looks like Rebecca Richardson, who's taking her leave of the peloton.
Yeah, Brother UK Fusion RT are having a fantastic season, and I think this is the most interesting season we've really seen in terms of the national series, because the strength in depth is incredible, and we've got so many teams in big contention.
Plenty of gels on board for Rebecca Richardson, the Welsh rider with the Fusion RT squad, supported by Brother. Hans Williamson has put together and assembled another great squad of developing talent, and clearly Rebecca Richardson wants to test her legs against a class field, with Jocelyn Loudon close to the front for the drop squad. Her advantage now up over 42 seconds as we work our way through the first of 3 ascents of the Ryals climb. And it's starting to dwindle a little bit, but still a healthy margin clear of the field. The field too is also starting to shrink in size a bit. This is a daunting prospect. 3 times up. It's a long straight road as well, no winding and twisting. I can tell you it's a grippy one. And the peloton are winching her in slowly, but they're not going to get there in time. It's Rebecca Richardson that takes top points, first time up the Ryals.
Yeah, so we've just seen the intermediate point of the Queen of the Mountain classification, and it was Jocelyn Loudon that led the pack over there to take second, followed by Claire Steels. And Jocelyn Loudon moved in around about May time to drop cycling, so that was quite an exciting team move for her.
Yeah, great acquisition. Clearly she's bringing big legs, very strong legs through to this event, but it would appear as if Rebecca Richardson's time out front has come to an end. It's been a brave effort. It's certainly been a useful hit out for the Brother UK Fusion RT squad. They put a rider up the road and they've got a free ride to this point in the race. So Richardson is down to 18 seconds advantage. Looks as if her time out front is coming to an end.
Yeah, a brilliant ride from her, and again, with the strength and depth in their team, we've often seen riders go out for those solo attacks, but then when they're brought back, we'll see a counter-attack, another move from the team, and they've played that tactic a lot.
More problems for Bex Durrell. The hand is up. She's calling for service. Clearly she's not entirely satisfied. Not sure whether it's a puncture or whether there's a problem with that replacement bike that she's on. It just thinks that this is a good moment to get a little bit of assistance, and well, the car is up there quite smartly, isn't it? There's no hanging around here, and bottles and screwdrivers go flying, but Bex Durrell's going to give a dig out if required. And clearly it is indeed an adjustment being made to the seat pillar of that bike, so they'll get it absolutely au point to ensure that she has precisely the equipment she needs to defend her points advantage.
Yeah, she is, of course, in that big lead in the overall classification of this series, and again, just very calm, knowing that she needs to just pick the right time to get that assistance and ultimately make sure that everything's right.
Yeah, more calm, less panic, and more haste, less speed and all that. She'll be back in the peloton relatively swiftly, one would imagine, as the Bianchi Dama squad go onto the front of the peloton to try and set the tempo, maybe just make it a little bit more difficult for Durrell to get back in there, and that could be to their advantage in the back end. She's in the cars. Durrell is working her way back up through, and once she makes it into this cavalcade, it should be relatively straightforward for her to get in there as they complete 1/3 distance.
Yeah, very smooth and efficient rider, and she won't be panicking yet again. She'll just use the energy where she needs to, and she's already back with the pack.
A relatively small pack at this point in the proceedings for the riders in what's a very difficult race. It's the 7th edition of the Curlew Cup, and it has become one of the really must-win events for so many of the riders on the British calendar. 16-second advantage for Lone Raider out front, but Richardson, it looked as if she was going to be drawn back in quite a while ago, so she has managed to stay out front for just that little bit longer than you might expect. Brave effort, brave resistance, but finally she is retained by the main peloton, and it's the Campanense Velo Performance squad that go on the attack immediately.
Yeah, Campanense Velo Performance have been great to watch as well. They've been key animators in this series. A very interesting team to watch when we saw the inaugural Women's National Circuit Series launch over in Bristol, and just attack from them.
That's attack from the Brother UK Fusion Racing team as well, isn't it? Because no sooner is Richardson drawn back in than Ruth Shear goes on the attack. Has a little look over her shoulder, shake of the head as if to say, no one's coming with me. Well, I better do it myself. Her advantage immediately springs up to 15 seconds as she picks her way around the corners and heads to what she hopes will be a solo success. It would be impressive if she manages that. This is a serious competitor that has decided to attack.
Abby Parkinson of Drop Cycling, such a strong and smooth rider. We've seen some big moves from her throughout the season so far. Day one of the OVO Energy Women's Tour, she was just such a big animator of that opening stage. She went on a solo attack and she's just such a joy to watch.
Yeah, she's not afraid to get stuck in, and she's very quickly raced across that gap to Ruth Shear, so it's two out front. Shear has been joined by Abby Parkinson from the Drop squad, the UCI registered team with big ambitions. It's been a good big season for them. And for Abby Parkinson, one of their developing riders. She's growing with the team and still very much an under-23 rider, of course, and she's got big potential for the future. What is her potential going to be in this event? Still 55 kilometers remaining in the event.
Yeah, a lot of potential, but already done so much.
Well, she's out front, Abby Parkinson with the advantage, 50 kilometres remaining. Abby Parkinson of the Drop Cycling team has gone clear of the main peloton in the Curlew Cup. Round 5 of the Women's National Road Series is into its second half, and Parkinson with a narrow solo advantage, the second of 3 ascents of the Ryals climb, and she's clear of the field in the early stages.
Drop Cycling were a team that had a really uncertain time over the winter in terms of whether they'd be able to continue this year, and rides like this have been so key to showing why they've got their place.
It's certainly a select group across the top of the Ryals climb, the second of 3 ascents, and it's Abby Parkinson that takes the top points. And it's Claire Steels from the Brother UK Fusion Racing team. And Justin Loudon, Abby Parkinson's Drop's teammate, that is third across the line on that occasion. And it's a few cracks starting to develop in the peloton, but they reassemble on the descent, and immediately the Bianchi Dama squad go to the front to try and take control. They're joined by the Campanense Velo Revolution team. They want to make sure that they can set a tempo that prevents other attacks and maybe perhaps provide the springboard for others. They go across the line, 1 lap remaining, 2/3 distance.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that move there from some immensely strong riders. We had a glimpse of Claire Steels, who's a personal trainer, come into cycling and been just phenomenal to watch. And yeah, we also see the Bianchi Dama team amassing. They've had a great season too, and this is Emma Cockcroft.
Yeah, set up by Georgina Pancho, who's on the front of the peloton, and immediately the pace dropped. Emma Cockcroft of the Bianchi Dama squad decided that she was going to go on the attack. The latest solo raider, and you can see the effort on her face as she steals a little look over her shoulder to see what sort of an advantage she has, and she's drawn a couple of riders clear of the field while others are trying to chase to get across to her. It's Justin Loudon, inevitably almost, who is in amongst this one. And she sees that she has for company some of the strongest riders on the British scene, including Claire Steels, who's been very much to the fore, and Jenny Powell there for the Bianchi Dama squad, second in the recent Tour of the Reservoir.
Yeah, Jenny Powell had a phenomenal Tour of the Reservoir, again showing the options in that team, the strength in that team, and Jocelyn Loudon, 2017 hill climb champ, so she is not afraid of these ramps.
Very strong rider indeed, and one is going to become 4 very shortly, and it's pretty much Joss Loudon that has done all of the chasing, the riding across this group. Jocelyn Loudon brings along for company Claire Steels, and as you might expect, Jennifer Powell not contributing to the pacemaking at this moment, but they join Emma Cockcroft up front to make it a quartet clear of the peloton on this final lap of 3.
Yeah, you can just see Emma Cockcroft just having a little look there as that trio come up to her. She's looking at her teammate Jen, and just slotting into the back there.
And more riders want to get involved. This looks like Leah Dixon, who's second in the overall standings in this series, and Leah Dixon joins to make it 5 up front, and that's a very dangerous rider, and that's going to put the cat among the pigeons. You can be sure that that's going to get the interest of the peloton behind.
Yeah, Leah Dixon took the overall stage race win at the Tour of the Reservoir and went out alone. Such a smooth style, and this is a very formidable group up front.
Strong riders are starting to gravitate towards the front, and each and every one of these moves contains the very strongest riders in the race, but it has been retained. It's been dragged back in for all Jocelyn Loudon's efforts. She finds somewhat frustratingly that she's been rejoined by the group, but the group is quite a bit smaller in size.
Yeah, really reduced now, and these gradients are just whittling it down, and these big attacks are just putting the hurt into so many riders out there. I mentioned before just how hard fought this national series is this year, and it's just getting quicker and quicker with the big teams in contention.
And this is the easy style of Claire Steele's as she rides up the Ryals climb for the final time of asking, the third time up, and this ascent gets, as I mentioned, up to as much as 16% in parts, and well, she's got a bit of daylight between herself and the rest, led by Georgina Pasha, Jenny Powell there as well for Bianchi Dama. Those two riders within touching distance of the race leader Claire Steele's across the summit of the Ryals climb, and well, the peloton has been absolutely shot to smithereens. Jocelyn Loudon now trying to get on terms and makes her way up front in a select group, and a strong group indeed it is, with a 15-second advantage with 10 kilometres to go. And would you believe it, it includes Rebecca Durrell.
Yeah, Bex Durrell not phased by having to have some early mechanical assistance, then took her time to just make the adjustment to check she was happy. She knew she'd be going for it as much as she could on this round of the National Series. Of course, she's got that big lead in the overall contention. She doesn't want to see that go anywhere, and yeah, just with the absolute smooth style that we are so familiar with from her, she's in fantastic form.
She certainly is. The winner of the Tour of the Reservoir first stage, the Lincoln Grand Prix victory as well. 6 kilometres remaining, and it's touch and go. It's a very narrow advantage for this group up front, and it looks as if the peloton are about to make the junction, much to the frustration of Claire Steele's after what's been an attacking performance by this young climber. She's climbed over the Ryals with ease, but unfortunately too many descents in there as well. For all that though, this has been a bruising encounter, and the group behind that are assembling and making the junction is certainly not large in size. Plenty of communication between the riders. I think they're starting to think now about the inevitable sprint finish.
Yeah, they certainly are. A lot of interest in bringing this back here. You can see Joe Tinley on the left-hand side of the screen. Interesting to see what their team tactics are. They've got some brilliant sprint talents in that squad.
Yeah, Charlotte Berry is certainly a very strong rider, and she just assembles on the left-hand side of picture in that sky blue colours of the Campanense Velo Performance squad on the tail of Joe Tindley, who's done a lot of chasing, a lot of great work for that squad. The Drops team as well have a couple of options with Jocelyn Loudon, perhaps prepared to lead things out for Abby Parkinson, and you can be quite sure as well that Rebecca Durrell won't be giving this one up. The Brother UK Tifosi squad have options, not least of course Leah Dixon, second in the standings and on lead-out duties here.
Yeah, Brother Tifosi, again, the amount of riders that we've seen just inject big attacks, go for those individual wins. It's been absolutely brilliant to see just where that squad sits in the pack this year.
Past the kite and less than 1,000 metres remaining in the Curlew Cup as Joe Tindley has the honour of leading the peloton. She'll get their admiration afterwards. Right now they want to see what they can do about getting ahead of the Campanense Velo Performance team. The light blue jerseys on the front of the peloton, but will they be able to sustain this effort through to the line? They've got 3 riders thereabouts. This is Charlotte Berry who's just taking over on the front, perhaps mindful of the fact that Tindley's lead out has gone, and now Abby Parkinson wants to take it up on the left hand side of picture in the yellow bike. white jersey, and Jocelyn Loudon has managed to find her sprinter. Lots of talking between them, and it's Loudon that will lead them out into the closing stages. Less than 500 metres remaining at this point. It's Loudon on the front for the drop cycling team. Abby May Parkinson in her wake. Charlotte Berry, plenty of bumping and boring, and everyone wants to get Abby May Parkinson's wheel. Abby May Parkinson goes for glory past the village sign into Stamfordham, and it's Abby May Parkinson down the hill, piling it on, trying to hang out of the biggest gear she can possibly get. She's going to lead them into the final 200 metres. Charlotte Berry comes with a late charge, and will Berry be able to get there in time? And it looks as if Elizabeth Bennett is there as well. This one is going to be very, very close indeed. It's Elizabeth Bennett that gets it on the line by the narrowest of margins, and April Tacey gets up for second.
Brilliant win for that team, and they'll be absolutely delighted to pull that off.
Well, superb effort as Elizabeth Bennett gets up to make it a 1-3 finish for the Campanen's Velo Performance squad, with Charlotte Berry in third place. They're sandwiching April Tacey in second. Abby May Parkinson has to make do with fourth in a blanket finish. And a battling fifth place finish for Rebecca Durrell, the series leader, ahead of Sophie Thackeray, Leah Dixon, Turnbull, Cockclough and Cockcroft.
Elizabeth, that was an incredible sprint to the line. Can you tell us how it was coming into those last KMs?
Yeah, it was pretty hectic, you know. I think it was fast from about 3-4k to go. It was full gas, and I sort of knew I had to stay to the left-hand side because I knew that was sort of the shorter route to the finish. And yeah, I just sort of picked the right wheel and managed to cross the line first, so it's great.
And what was the plan as a team going into today?
Look after me for the finish, and Joe was going to go for the quam, and then Charlotte is going to help out, and get the bottles, and yeah.
And how does it feel to take the win here?
Yeah, it's amazing. This time last year, I DNF'd the race, so to take the win, it's even more special. Thank you.
So Rebecca Durrell has extended her advantage at the head of the overall standings. Leah Dixon still in second. Elizabeth Bennett has rocketed up to third ahead of Pfeiffer Georgie. And Brother UK Tifosi, presented by On Form, have a commanding advantage at the head of the Brother UK Fusion racing team in the team's standings. What a great day of racing here at the Curlew Cup, and what a win for Elizabeth Bennett. The next round is the Stockton Grand Prix on Sunday 14th of July. Come and join us at the roadside or join us for the highlights. To stay in touch with the HSBC UK Women's National Road Series and everything else in the world of cycling, go to britishcycling.org.uk and #National Road Series. Bye for now and see you next time.